So I made a logo the other day for a noodle shop. Now just imagine a small little joint in the middle of downtown. It doesn't really look like a whole lot on the outside, but as soon as you walk in, you're instantly hit with the wonderful smell of perfectly boiled strands of dough. Your eyes take in the vibrant interior, your ears take in the quirky and energetic music, and your feet guide you safely away from that guy who thinks his noodles can tell him the future. Over the front counter, you find a menu of pre-made dishes and sides, but then you see the reason everyone really comes here: the build your own noodle bowl. In case you haven't picked up on it yet, this place is basically just a Subway, but with noodles. You pick your noodles, your toppings, and whatever else you want. All of it's packaged up in a tiny little box, and in no time, you're off and on your way. Now I think this one-stop noodle shop deserves a really awesome brand. So I broke out the sketchbook and started to come up with something for this fun little takeout restaurant. And after a bit of work, I came up with this. We've got the one-stop text looking reminiscent of a stop sign. Noodle is in a font and color to make it look like it's made of noodles. And shop is in a bright yellow for that extra splash of color. To me, it felt like a nice balance of quirkiness and quality, and I was ready to show it to the world. So all I needed to do is center it on a clean white square, give it a short description, maybe a few tags for luck, and send it off into the depths of the interwebs. Right? Well, maybe not. You see, in order to make this logo, I went through a process. That included researching the business, its products, its market, and its competition. And then I took all that and turned it into this brand. So when I look at this, I'm not just seeing a logo. I'm seeing this huge well of information that the logo represents. You know, all the stuff that really gives it its value and meaning. But when I post it online, I'm introducing it to people who have zero access to any of this. All they see is the final image. So to me, what looks like an amazing design that truly captures the heart of the restaurant, they see is just another logo for a business they know nothing about, which is why they don't relate to it and why it's very hard for them to care about it. But this is a problem that can be solved, and I'm gonna show you how. All you need to do is give your audience access to some of this extra context that you have. You need to give them a peek at the business behind the logo. And trust me, you can't just write a 3-page description about it and expect people to read it. They won't. So instead of giving them this information in text, you need to give it to them visually. And here are 4 simple steps that you can follow to do just that. Step 1, make your design feel real. Your logo represents a real physical business, even if it's a made-up one. So it needs to feel like part of the real world and not just a concept on a screen. Now the easiest way to do this is by placing your design on a physical object. And that's what we in the business like to call mockups. Now most people are probably already familiar with these, but most people also tend to use them the wrong way. They'll spend 5 seconds downloading one of those random stationary mockups, slap their logo on it, and call it a day. I mean, how many people are gonna look at this letterhead and actually form some type of deep connection with the brand? Exactly. So instead of that, pick a mockup of something that the business would actually use, something that helps give the audience more context. For instance, with the Noodle Shop, I've got a ton of options that make sense. I could put the logo on a staff uniform, maybe make a cool entrance sign to the restaurant, or even use it as a cover for a menu. All of these things help show that the Noodle Shop is a restaurant. But since this place mainly revolves around carryout, I think the best option would be to go with a simple to-go box. Now you could spend forever online looking around for the perfect mock-up and probably still end up being disappointed. Or you could do what I do and just use Adobe stock. I can simply search for a to-go box mock-up, look through some great options of clean, professionally shot objects at pretty much any angle, and then download the one I want. And I've actually got a link in the description that you guys can use to get your first 10 images completely free. Now most people, once they've found their mock-up, will just stick the logo on it and ship it out. But you guys are not most people. You're going right on to step 2, expansion. Now we want to take our mock-up, whatever it may be, and expand the design. We want this to feel like something the brand would actually use. The One Stop Noodle Shop is not the type of place that would just have a tiny logo on a plain cardboard box. They would have something that embodies the fun, quirky nature of the restaurant. So let's do that. I'll just make the name really large and slightly tilted so we show off that big, exciting personality to help people know what's inside the box. I'll put some noodles down here towards the bottom, as well as some toppings falling down on them. I'll also make it look like the chopsticks are picking up one of the noodles. And of course, we want to make sure that people still focus on the logo. So a starburst pattern in the background will not only make the food feel more epic, but it'll also guide the eye towards the logo. Finishing off with a rough halftone pattern will add some grit and help tie everything together. As you can probably see, this step can take a bit of extra work, but just look at the difference. One of these clearly represents the brand much better than the other. But we aren't done yet. Next, we move on to step 3, the background. We've got our mock-up, but we need somewhere to put it. and there's a lot of places we could put it. When it comes to picking a background though, a rule I like to follow is that if your mockup and design are simple, then your background can be relatively complex. However, if your mockup and design are complex, then your background should be simple. Following that rule helps create a nice contrast between your main subject and the background. And since my noodle box is fairly complex, I want to keep the background very simple. So in this case, I think I'll just mimic one of those plain curved backdrops. You know, the type of thing you'd find in a photography studio. But at the same time, I also want to make sure that the background helps represent the brand. So I'll take this background and make it a vibrant yellow to add some extra energy to the scene. Now, not only does this create a nice contrast with the product, which uses more neutral tones, but this yellow will also really help grab people's attention when they see it online. And finally, we have step 4, story building. Every image is better if it tells some type of story, if it feels alive, like something's actually happening in it. For our scene, I think the story we should tell should involve this food being eaten. Now the box is closed, so we can't show the food being eaten right this minute, but we could imply that the food is on the verge of being eaten. And the way we do this is with props. So I'll just place some chopsticks up against the side here, almost as if they're just laying there waiting for somebody to grab them and dig into the food. To help make it feel like the food is hot and ready to eat, and not just sitting there cold, perhaps adding in some steam coming out of the box would do just the trick. Now we could throw a generic stock photo in here, but since our brand is a little bit cartoony, I think replacing this realistic steam with an illustrated version would give this image a lot more personality. And remember, I'm trying to mimic a photo shoot setup, so we'll make the steam look like a physical prop, kind of like it's made out of cardboard. And then we can just hang that above the box with some tiny strings to make it look like it's floating. And finally, to break up this empty space, I'll add in some cartoon cobblestones. I think that makes it feel more like the ground, and it also helps draw your eyes towards the box. Now just take a look at what we started with versus what we have now. Which one of these do you think will get more engagement online, look better in your portfolio, and end up attracting more clients? I think it's pretty clear. Hey friends, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there with notifications. Maybe drop a like on the video if you're in the mood for it, and check out this video that I think you're really gonna like. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.